Second chapter begins with Lawrence and Hollow hiding in a roadside church from the rain Hollow sends coming at the end of chapter 1. Despite it being a place of worship, here, far from any town or village, it is mainly a place where travelers meet and where priests set aside their suspicions of travelers as long as they are willing to show some charity. Entering the church introduces a challenge Hollow and Lawrence will have to overcome many times along the road. Keeping the pretense of normality while moving among those who would meet Hollow with open hostility is going to require mutual cooperation and trust.
Here I want to acknowledge the subtle character building, as our protagonists show their willingness to take risks. After all, resting in a church of all places means a slip-up of Hollow's masquerade would have dire consequences. Her masquerade in this case being Lawrence's wife, whose face is badly burned so she can hide under her hood. But as Hollow has already been introduced as a character who seems to be capable of taking responsibility, and since the church provides shelter from the rain, both for the characters and the wagon's load, the reward easily outweighs the risk. After they had passed through the church's gate and rented a room, Lawrence is off to tend to his wagon. As he returns to Hollow, he is greeted by her wringing out her wet clothes, half naked and jesting about her burns they lied about earlier.
To place the character's thoughts into better perspective, it is perhaps good to keep in mind that nudity wasn't always perceived the way it is nowadays, and the amount of privacy one could expect was often limited. This situation wouldn't really be that out of ordinary for neither Lawrence nor Hollow, if it wasn't for the fact that the first spark of sexual tension was already lit during their first meeting, where it was clearly established that Lawrence finds Hollow very much attractive.
Lawrence, while also being a bit bashful at first, as he was concerned with the problem of averting his eyes, handles Hollow's nonchalant nudity with more composure as compared to the night before. He not only acknowledges her wolf-like boldness as Hollow sweeps back her hair in a grand motion, Lawrence also manages to chat casually about the marten furs in his wagon's bed. As Lawrence finishes wringing out his shirt, their current situation takes a subtle turn, almost becoming a bit competitive.
He finished wringing out his shirt and was about to do the same with his trousers when he remembered Hollow's presence. He looked to her and discovered that she was now quite naked and wringing her own clothes free of water. Feeling somehow vexed, he ventured to strip nude and do the same.
Besides the obvious allure of the scene, I loved this, for lack of a better description, exchange of trust. That Hollow is comfortable with nudity has been established previously, but that Lawrence is already motivated to copy her relaxed behavior, showing Hollow a sense of trust, is a minor but very charismatic development of their relationship in my eyes. This also reinforces his acceptance of Hollow, reiterating on her voiced fear that people tend to behave too distant around her. All the while, he is also keeping his respectful distance both verbally and spatially. On Hollow's part, I'd be willing to bet that she is well aware of Lawrence's behavior and just enjoys toying and flirting with him. We already know of her mischievous nature, and getting some positive attention from her first social contact in years isn't something anyone could blame her for.
Certainly. As the story goes on, it's worth keeping an eye out on how the level of intimacy between Lawrence and Hollow continues to evolve.
While this is all happening, Lawrence asks Hollow what they should do with the wheat he's carrying, as Hollow proclaimed she resides in it. When he jokingly questions the truthfulness of her claims, Hollow outlines her dependence on it.
As long as I live, the wheat will neither rot nor wither. But should it be burned, eaten, or ground into the soil, I will likely disappear. If it's in the way, you could thresh it and keep it safe somewhere. That might be better.
We already touched upon concepts and ideas that get abandoned early on in the series, and this is to some degree another example. While the wheat pouch Lawrence will soon give to Hollow remains a staple throughout the series, the concept of her disappearing if it would be destroyed won't be explored later on. Typical of Lawrence, he has to confirm that she won't need the whole load of grain, as he still wants to sell it elsewhere.
We are given some revelations about Hollow's nature and her connection to wheat, more precisely how her life seems to depend on it. We see these sort of expositions primarily in the first couple of volumes, and there are really three ways we can think about them. First, what is Hollow's true nature and how did it come to be? Second, what is Hollow trying to accomplish telling Lawrence all this, and is what she's saying really true? And question 3. What is the author trying to accomplish with this, and how does it work out? An answer to one of these points can heavily influence how you think about the other two, and what's more, later developments may call into question what at this point might seem like a straightforward answer. For now we can say that Hollow's existence depends on the wheat in which he dwells. She is simply trying to make Lawrence understand some necessities that arise from this, and the author is simply trying to build up his world, perhaps foreshadow a plot device that might be used later. These answers and some others we'll encounter along the way might still be worth re-examining at some later point, when a new development might call our assumptions into question.
After this, our main duo changes back into their damn clothes to go dry themselves in the Great Hall of the church, to which Lawrence notes the unfairness that his good clothes, that Hollow is currently wearing, are shedding water far better than the one he has to use. On the way out, we get another glimpse at Hollow's pridefulness. She's amused at the charade that she has to cover her face because of her alleged burns.
The burns would become part of me, just like my ears or tail, proof of my uniqueness.
This line forms the basis for some of my claims in the prologue of this volume, and overall my view on something that is often revisited but never really addressed: Hollow's obsessive attachment to her tail. Hollow tells us that she would wear any mark of her uniqueness with pride, even scars. Her tail marks her out not only among people in her human form, but most likely even among the other wolves. When the entire world changes around you, having a reminder that you are still you must surely be comforting.
Lawrence instantly muses that she would feel differently if she were actually injured, and to be honest though, he does have a point. As far as we know, Hollow doesn't have any physical flaws or abnormalities besides her wolf features. But here Lawrence fell right into the trap of Hollow's young appearance hiding her actual age.
I know what you are thinking, she said. Underneath the cloak, she smiled mischievously. The right corner of her mouth curled up in a smirk, showing a sharp fang. Want to injure me and see for yourself? Lawrence was not entirely disinclined to respond to her provocation, but he decided that if he actually reacted and drew his dagger, things could get really out of hand. It was possible that she meant it. More likely, though, it was just her mischief-loving nature. I'm a man. I could never injure such a beautiful face.
While Hollow continues to tease Lawrence, getting close to him only to tell him that he still smells foul even after the rain, and that she prefers a wolf's facial hair to his beard, we get some more character writing thoughts from Lawrence. He ponders that he only ever cared about his appearance to the degree that it's useful for his business, meaning he is usually well kept, but the thought if he would appeal to women never crossed his mind for as long as he could remember.